I don't know. I think a lot of times you tend to go super hard, whether it's a vacation or a conference trip or, a trip with me. And then you
Out
feel
of
like not
sorts.
yourself. And now you're like strategizing about your life when you're like not even feeling that great. You're not at your best. So you shouldn't be strategizing about your next move when you're feeling like shit, in my opinion.
All right, so here's something I've been thinking about. When you're starting a business, there's no confusion about your purpose. It's to make money, create stability, and take care of your family. But then one day you kind of get there. You've created that stability, you've created that foundation, and suddenly the thing that was pushing you forward, it disappears. And that's what we're figuring out here on the other side of enough. I'm sitting down with entrepreneurs who have hit their goals, but they're still searching for something more. We're talking about what business excellence really looks like on the other side. Let's get into it. So, I'm
That's cool.
excited. Let's tell the audience who you are. Go through your business bio a little bit, and then if you're too humble, I'm going to correct you because you're probably the top five. You're easily in the top five land flipping businesses in the network I have, and most definitely the top one in Florida.
Oh, that's
And
good to know. Thank you.
you have a team. It's impressive. Your team is very impressive. It's not massive, but you've attracted such high quality talent, and it's domestic
Yeah.
talent, right? You've
Yes.
attracted such high quality team members and they've stayed for years. And that's a testament to your leadership.
Yeah.
And the reason, I don't know if you know this, but like I often visit people that I do business with once. I think I visited you 4 times.
Yeah. You came out with Renee in like
Yeah.
about a year ago. And
And
then
then
you
with
came out in
Ben.
June yeah, with Ben and there was somebody else.
So
You came out in October as well. Yeah.
I did for the
So,
mastermind.
and then we also hung out a bunch. Like there was multiple conferences we stayed at the same house last year.
That's
We
true.
spent a lot of time together last year. I feel like we had 5 or 6 trips together last year. It's funny.
That is true. It's
Yeah.
good way to spend a slow year. So why don't let's
Yeah.
talk about your background a little bit and then we'll get into some questions.
Cool. My background is a job from 2005 to 2021. My full-time day job was as a touring guitar and keyboard technician. So I traveled the world with different musicians and bands
And you
and
traveled with a
loved
big band, right?
a lot of them. Yeah. OneRepublic was probably the biggest band that I worked for like long term. Like I worked for them for the majority of my career, like seven of the 16 years that I was on tour, I worked for them, which was super cool. And during that time, started investing in real estate, like long-term rentals, that kind of thing. And then found out about land from Seth Williams, took Seth's course, started sending out mail in 2020 when I was laid off from my job on the road because of COVID. And then fast forward to today, now it's still do some of the long-term and short-term rental buy and hold, but my primary thing is flipping land, and now have a team of four basically full-time, 2 part-time people, all domestic, US based. Most of them have been friends of mine for a long time. And yeah, and just plugging along, trying to do more flips, more subdivides, more creative deals, just trying to continually grow the pipeline and get better, make more money, but also have fun at the same time.
You
That's
guys,
now.
what I like about your business is that you guys are doing really creative stuff. So you bought an orange grove. You guys are doing a lot of subdivides. You're doing a lot of high dollar flips. You guys aren't afraid to tackle some gnarly stuff.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, we try to do every deal. I don't like to turn down deals within reason, of course. You don't want to I think we've gotten better about turning down the deals that are like, hey, you know what? This is like way too much headache to make 12 grand. And it's going to
Yeah.
distract us from the deal where we could make 250 grand. So let's not do that. But
Yeah. So
yeah,
your income in 5 years has increased like 10 times, right?
probably maybe not. Yeah,
Let's
maybe
let's
about 10.
say
Yeah.
let's
Let's
say
say it's 10.
before
Sure. That sounds
before
good.
write-offs. Let's say like before some lifestyle write-offs, right? So like before the travel or before
Yeah,
that,
something like that.
to increase your income 10 times in 5 years, I would say for the top percentage of entrepreneurs, that's very normal.
Mm,
For normal people, it breaks your brain, right? You're a guitar tech, which is a very specialized technical job, but it's a blue collar job, right?
yeah, very
I
much. Yeah.
five years ago, I was an auditor at a finance company. It sounds sexy, but I took like a 40% pay cut from the army to join corporate America. And my income went up similar. And what was that like? Because the first thing I did when I realized I made like excess money, I bought like 20 guns. Like this, keep in mind this would have been in 2021 during all the riots, and they had just done like a mass, like they just killed like a bunch of Asians in a nail parlor, and everyone was
Yeah.
getting killed. No matter what your race is, you're getting killed no matter what. So I just
Uh,
bought as much as I could. For you, what is that going from like modest middle class income to all of a sudden having more than what you need?
yeah. We definitely had a couple lifestyle increases, but honestly, even I feel like most of the lifestyle increases we've done have really just brought us up. We lived extremely frugally for a long time. And we're still, I think by most people's standards,
Yeah.
especially people that are in our like income bracket, we still live really frugally because that's how I operate.
Your
That's
splurge was to buy a Toyota.
yeah. No, I had never spent more than $3,000 on a vehicle until 2023.
Right.
That was just always drove like old. I still have the old truck too. I still keep it going, but got to keep me stay true to the roots. But yeah, for us, like our increase was really just, oh, we're gonna buy nice new Toyotas. I feel fully comfortable. This is gonna sound maybe dumb, but I feel like fully comfortable paying for grocery delivery now and getting food to go to eat at home whenever we want to. You know what I mean? It's like that kind
Yeah.
of stuff that's just not actually that big of a thing. Or yeah, I don't know. Just like I order whatever I want on Amazon, basically, like that kind of stuff. So not anything crazy. We bought a vacation home. We bought like a second home, which you've been to, but it's in such a rural market. It's a very affordable second home.
Yeah.
It might even be worth less than the house we live in right now. And we're actually getting ready we're renting it out renting it out as a B&B. So
Oh.
it's basically, it's an investment still.
So you've done some
Yeah.
modest, I've seen your
Yeah.
lifestyle. You guys have done some modest lifestyle changes, but nothing crazy. What about like the mindset shift? You and I talk about this a lot, where part of you like is now concerned you'll lose what you have.
Yeah.
It's created different fears. Like you no longer have the
Yeah.
fear of paying your bills, right? Now you have a
Yeah.
fear of what if I just got lucky this one time with this one business model, and if I had to start over, I couldn't do it again.
There's that. There's also, I think there's the fear of somehow, I don't know, losing it, getting sued and losing it, or yeah, I don't know. There's that kind of fear too, however irrational.
Yeah. I heard I'm doing a book called Never Enough. Actually, just I finished it. It's called Never
I
Enough
heard of
by
that.
Andrew Wilkinson. It's like
It's a
he's
good book.
called, oh, it's great. He's called like the Warren Buffett of the tech space. He's Canadian. And
Okay.
it's funny. He's 6'3" with scoliosis, and He's a few years older than me. He's like my twin, but like Canadian version, and obviously way more successful. And he was saying how he realized one day, because he has a business partner, he said to his business partner, he's like, "Are we just like deranged squirrels storing nuts? Like a rational squirrel that's storing nuts for the winter. How many winters worth would they store? Like maybe 2 winters. That'd be
Yeah.
reasonable." And he's like, "We have like 2,000 trees full of nuts, and we're still trying to squirrel away nuts." That's insane if you think about it. Do you ever wonder if we're just deranged squirrels?
Yeah. Yeah. I think like,
Obviously, like we are significantly like we're just getting started, I think, in both of our
yeah.
entrepreneurial journeys. But like how do we find that balance where you want to pursue excellence and you want to be good at your craft, but not at the expense of what's important? And then the question is, what
Yeah.
is important? And you can go down that rabbit trail too.
Yeah. I think this is like an ever evolving thing for me, I guess. This is the answer to this. But I think for me, it's funny because I had a buddy over here and we did sauna and cold plunge for 3.5 hours, literally like right up until 30 minutes before us starting this podcast. So I'm
Nice.
like feeling real good. And we were talking about this a little bit. He wants to leave. This is a guy, he has a successful corporate job, makes a lot of money, but wants to leave it, do his own thing, have some more free time. And we were just talking about life and some of these kind of questions. And I think like for me right now, it's like I'm I really, it's the cliche of a lot of work doesn't, when work doesn't feel like work or whatever. That's me. Like a lot of my work day and work weeks doesn't feel like work to me. So
Yeah.
there's that aspect of it where I just really like doing this. Like, I think where I do feel lucky with land is it's like this weird, there's something in my brain that like, I think I like looking at maps and satellite imagery more than probably 99.9% of the population. Like
Yeah.
even when I was homeschooled. When I was a little kid, I was like obsessed with just looking at maps, and I had tons of books
Yeah.
with different maps and satellite images, all these old Nat Geo satellite image books, and I was just obsessed with that kind of stuff. And so I really liked that, and I loved like walking around on land. Like we grew up out in the country and I would play in the woods all day. And I'm also just really interested in like money and the game of money and numbers and making it grow. And so I don't know. Now it's like
It all
for work.
aligns.
Yeah, for work, it's like I get to do this. Dude, some days I might spend 2 or 3 hours just looking at deals on Land ID. So it's like, I'm looking at deals and also just the creative aspect. Like you said, we do a lot of creative stuff. We're trying to do even more creative stuff. We're trying to get more and more creative moving forward. And so we've been doing, I know now it feels like it's all the rage and we're just getting tapped into it, but like the dirty title or messy title thing, we've done maybe 10 or 12 of those deals over the last 2 or 3 years, and now we're looking for more of them, and we're doing like a group coaching course on that right now. And so I like, that's just all fun, like the group coaching we're doing to
Yeah.
learn more about those deals. It is, the calls are 3.5 hours, and it is like basically pure fun. Like I'm way more entertained in those calls, way more stimulated in those calls than any like movie or TV show or going to a theme park or whatever like other people do for fun. I'm not as interested. I don't like theme parks. I'm not that interested in movies. I'm not that interested in TV. I'm not really interested in like cool cars. Mm,
I think what
so
you're describing flow state, like deep work.
yeah, and I love that. That's what I do. I'm in my office in the backyard, and I feel like I get to live a lot of my day in a flow state. And then I think that I do have, you've seen it when you're here. It's like we do have a really high quality of life outside of work. I have pretty solid work-life balance. I spend a lot of my day with my phone on do not disturb, even with having a busy business. But it's like a great we have a nice little house and a great backyard that we spend a lot of time in. We have a bunch of pets. We have good family and friends in the area. We go yesterday. I was sending you photos. Like yesterday, I was out with a bunch of my
Yeah.
friends and my sister. We were out for 12 hours kayaking, snorkeling. We went to a bunch of different springs. We swam with manatees. We had like a campfire out in the woods next to this spring that you can only get to by 45-minute kayak ride. There's no boardwalk to get there. You can't get there on a boat. It's like you have to kayak and hike in on this shallow creek. So I did that. And it's like the weekend before that, I was camping all weekend with my little brothers and a bunch of my friends and my sister and my brother-in-law. And then I think the weekend before that, we were camping as well. So I also, it's like, I don't just work all the, it's like when I work a
Yeah.
lot, like I probably work 60 hours a week and I'm having fun most of the time. And I'm trying to get rid of the stuff that I don't like doing. I'm working to get that stuff off my plate so I can focus on more of what I do doing and then have a lot of fun on most weekends. It's like I have a whole lot of fun doing a bunch of other stuff. And so I think, I don't know, I forget you asked like the squirrels chasing nuts, storing up nuts. I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, maybe I should question this more, but I like watching the pile of nuts grow. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just like really enjoy it. Yeah. So
It's the
I don't,
same for
yeah.
me. I would say it's the same for me. And I feel like society, and this is, I think a lot of Christian culture makes you believe that it's like wrong to acquire wealth.
Yes.
And
Oh
like
yeah,
if you
for
want to
sure. What the way
become
I was raised. Yes.
more holy, you need to like embrace poverty. And I don't think that's biblical or healthy. And
Yeah.
going back on what you said, so I've gotten to watch you work. I've been in meetings with you. I've watched you in meetings as a creeper and when I'm at your house. And what I've noticed is you probably spend half your time in like deep work flow state stuff and the other half in manager type role where you're in
Yeah.
meetings, you're doing texts and emails. And I think you have a good balance because one thing I noticed with me is my work satisfaction actually went down when I cut the flow state activities. Have you heard of Makers versus Managers schedule? It's an essay from 2009.
I've heard of it. I don't think I've read that.
I'm gonna send it
Is it
to
Paul Graham? Is
you.
that Paul Graham?
Yeah, yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
read that. I should though.
Yeah, it's Paul Graham. You could just Google Maker versus Manager schedule, and it's a short essay. And it basically talks about how if you're doing deep work, you need a minimum of 4 hours usually to get into the zone and complete a
Yeah.
task.
Yes.
And managers, because I was trying to figure out, I'm like, how can I be traveling and how do I still get stuff done with all these interruptions in my life? And it's because I only have manager type activities now, which is like a manager type activity is like texts, emails, meetings, calls,
Yeah.
stuff that does not take a lot of concentration. So I dip in and out of work all day long. And that's why I'm so
Yeah.
responsive with texts is like I go to the computer maybe once an hour or something, right? Shoot off a
Yeah.
bunch of texts and then go play with my kids. And even though that seems better from a lifestyle standpoint, the lifestyle I have right now, my work satisfaction is actually less than when I used to spend 4 hours diving into due diligence and maps. So it's
Hmm.
interesting. It's like I've achieved what Tim Ferriss said to do, the 4 hour work week type thing, right? Where you have people doing stuff for you. But I actually like I miss the old days. And you found a way, you didn't follow what everyone else said to do. Like you didn't outsource every single little compartment as quickly as possible. You kept doing what you enjoyed, which I really respect.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there's things that I'm doing that I don't enjoy that I need to get those things off my plate, but also I move a little slow with that kind of stuff. I'm pretty slow to hire and expand overhead. Yeah, I don't know. I've tried to outsource things in a way that I'm not like getting rid of the things I don't know. The first thing I outsourced was acquisitions, which I didn't hate doing, but it just was the thing that interrupted my day the most. It was like
Yeah.
answering the phone. It's like, how do I, if I'm ever going to get any, like for me to get some more deep work done, I can't be a slave to answering the phone whenever it rings, which I was when I
Mm,
was doing all the acquisitions. So even though I
yeah.
like that, it was like, and I'm spending the money to have a really great acquisitions manager. Like I wouldn't have just given that to a $12 an hour person.
And for the listeners that aren't in the land business, acquisitions is the department that buys land for a discount. And when the seller leads call in, you need to you need to
You got to
answer it
answer it.
live or
Yeah.
call back within 5 minutes. Because if you don't,
Yeah.
they're just going to the next person.
Yeah. You got to answer it live if you can. That's what we just hired another person to, the goal is to move towards like answering basically every call live because somebody will always be available to take
Right.
that live call. Yeah.
Actually, I've been in the car with you when like the call hits your phone and you click skip or something and it goes to the next person. And so it could
Yeah.
ring
Well,
three different people's phones.
and it's ringing all of our phones at the same time.
Oh, okay.
The way we have it set up right now, you can do it in like a chain, which we might do that in the future when we have multiple acquisitions people. But yeah, it rings on everybody's phone at the same time. And so I don't even know why I have that. I just like seeing when the phone's ringing. Like I haven't answered a call in our system in probably 6 months, but I like, I don't know. I think seeing the phone ring, it just gives me like, when I have my phone on, it keeps me on
I
the
have,
pulse
yeah.
of activity.
Hey, let's get into some questions.
Sure.
So we've talked about like you enjoying your work and enjoying flow state. We've talked about what it's like for a 10x income increase and how it solves a lot of problems but creates others, right? Here's a good one. So studies have shown that drug addicts and entrepreneurs have almost exactly the same brains. Do you believe that? And obviously, both groups are
Do I
good at
believe that's true?
both groups are good at obsessing over things, right?
Yeah.
And drug addicts have just chosen a unhealthy thing to obsess over. Do you, do you identify with that? And if so, do you think that balance exists for your personality type?
Like balance, like work life balance kind of thing. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I don't like that term because it implies
Yeah.
that they're at odds with each other. It's like a give and take.
Yes. Yeah.
But just balance. Let me just give you my answer. I don't feel
Okay.
balanced. I don't feel balanced at all. So we get to Japan, okay? And I'm like, yeah, no rules. I could
How long have you been there right
We've
now?
been here for a month.
Nice.
Okay. So we get here and up until getting here, I was working out pretty consistently almost every day. Okay. So we get here and I immediately go into senioritis mode and I'm like, yeah, no rules. So I start drinking these highballs, these Japanese highballs, because you could walk into there's 7-Elevens everywhere. Every 2 blocks, there's like unlimited food and it's good food. So I start drinking these drinks. I stop working out. And 3 weeks later, I'm like, this is ridiculous. I feel horrible and I need to make a change. So
Think I'm seeing a pattern here. This is
yeah, of
not the
course.
first time we've had this conversation about
Yeah,
you on vacation. Yeah.
exactly. So I go crazy and then I'm like, this is insane. I need to make some changes. But then I'll make changes on the other extreme where I stop like all unhealthy stuff and then I go extreme with exercise.
Hmm.
I'm out at 5:30 in the morning this morning running when like why did I have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning? Like we have all day today to do whatever we want. I could have ran in the sunshine. Like why am I doing these extreme things with fitness now? And I ping pong between these two extremes. Maybe you're better at balance. And if so, is it a skill set you've developed or is it just your personality?
I think I have my own ways of being extreme, I think, too. I think I do. It's funny because I feel like Elena and my best friend Matt have both. told me many times like they've laughed at me for just being extreme. I I don't know, just thinking about what you said, like I love I remember on, I forget what birth, it was a couple years ago, we went to Atlanta to see LCD Sound System on my birthday, and or it was the night before my birthday, and we went out and I got super drunk. Me and Elena both got super drunk, and then had a great time at the show. Got back to our place. We were staying next to this place called Kennesaw Mountain, and I like woke up just feeling like crap, obviously, like very hungover at 5 in the morning. And I was like, I'm gonna go run up that mountain. So and then I'm just
Yeah.
like, my hungover ass ran however many miles up to the top of this mountain with my dog at the time, Cooper. We like ran up to the top, did a bunch of like burpees up there, ran down. I don't know. I'm just like I'm wired. For me it's like something about going through the pain of waking up early and like doing it when you feel
Right.
like crap. I don't know. I just like that. So I don't know. In that way, I guess I'm not balanced.
It's like everything or nothing, right? It's like
Kind
100%
of.
or 0%.
I guess I'm a little bit like that. Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's like a more like the way you were talking about like how you'll play with your kids and then go through some text messages and stuff. I don't like working that way. I like to I'll work a long day, but then if I'm done at 5 p.m., it's like I want to put my phone on do not disturb and
Yeah.
sometimes leave it out in the backyard office and then be like
Hmm.
fully. I do think that's almost, and maybe that, I don't know if that's balanced or unbalanced. Maybe that's unbalanced because it's like extreme one way or the other, but I'm very like, when I'm working, I just want to be like, no, don't talk to me. I'm in work mode right now, and then when I want to, it's like hot and cold. I want to be like, I want the
Right.
contrast between the two. I don't like off a couple emails in the middle of watching a Lightning game on a Saturday afternoon. I just want to watch the game and like
Yeah.
chill.
Maybe we're all extreme in just different areas, right? Like my wife with my wife will have she probably averages like 5 alcoholic drinks per year, right?
Yeah,
And she's not
but
against
all
it.
on the same all on the same night when
No,
she's done a 10-mile run.
no, that's what I would do. But she's super balanced in that area. Then when it comes to TV, she'll go 6 months without watching anything. And then she'll find some Korean drama she likes. And I'm telling you, it'll be like 2 weeks of nonstop TV. And then then it's like another 6 weeks of nothing. And
Mm,
maybe I'm more balanced in that area where I'll play my little video game. I have this little World War II game I play. I'll play it for 45 minutes and then stop and go do something else. So maybe we just have little compartments that we're extreme in
yeah,
and others that we're balanced in.
yeah. I was just thinking about the entrepreneur being like an addict's brain. I do think like some of the people I've hung out with that can party the hardest were definitely entrepreneurs. That's for
Right.
sure. There must be something there.
If I'm gonna if I'm gonna consume alcohol, it's gonna be a lot. And there's something inside my brain that says either do nothing or push it to the very, very edge. And same with
Yeah,
fitness. If I'm
yeah,
gonna lift weights, it's gonna be the hardest weightlifting session I've ever had.
yeah. It's like
I don't
never
know.
hard. Like I always feel like, oh, I could have given it a little more in the gym, pushed a little harder. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's
Hmm.
do another one. Okay, so I know you guys don't have kids yet. I know that's in the. You want me
In
to
the
edit this
works.
out? Should I edit that out?
No, it's fine.
I know you guys have some good plans for
Yep.
that. So we'll skip some of these questions about being a father. This is a quick one because I think the answer is no. Have you gotten bored yet in your business?
No,
Okay, we'll skip
no.
that one.
I get bored. I get bored
Have
on vacation sometimes. That's where I get bored sometimes.
Okay, so at
Yeah.
home, you're in the flow
Time
state. You got your
off.
routine, time off. Yeah.
Time off is when boredom can set in for me. which is why I'm
Okay.
not really interested in much of it. Time, yeah, I like we went to Portugal last year, and it's like we had a lot of chill time. I like a lot of chill time on vacation, but it's like we're lounging around, but it's like very stimulating conversation. I want stimulating conversation, or I want to be on a hike, or
Yeah.
snorkeling, or camping. Even I mean, when we go camping, a lot of times we're just sitting around, but it's like very stimulating conversation, lots of humor. We have there's a couple buddies that camp with us that just have me laughing my ass off. But anyways, in the business, no,
Do you
I
feel
don't get
like you
bored.
need do you feel like you need a lot of stimulation?
I think so. Not like what most people are going to for stimulation, not like TikTok, not like
Right.
that. But yeah, I meditate every day, but I would never do, there would be no point or interest for me to do like a 4 hour drive without podcast and or audiobook. Like that to me would just be like a waste of 4 hours of driving time, which I know you feel differently. Like you enjoy like driving in silence sometimes. I'm like, bring on another podcast, another audiobook, another YouTube video. I want to pack more in there. I don't know. That's just me though. A little bit of
So,
silence. A short drive in an area I've never been. If I'm driving somewhere like a back road that I don't know the way, I don't have an audiobook on. I'm just like observing the scenery. But that's different because I'm stimulated by the scenery.
yeah,
Does that make sense?
what I'm trying to figure out, because I just did a podcast with Eric Wong, and he was saying that our what we think is a need for stimulation is actually like an inability for our brain. It's like a dopamine addiction. And think about yourself, let's say 10 years ago, before social media, like before the TikTok stuff, right? Before you could have like constant stimulation from your phone. 10 years ago, I was not married, single. I could spend hours, multiple days in silence, not feeling like not feeling bored, like feeling content in my own thought life, right? And now I don't, like I flew to New York for a work thing. And that first night I was there alone, the first day I was there alone, and I almost went crazy because I was fasting from social media. I didn't have a lot of work stuff going on. And I realized I don't have the ability to sit in a quiet room anymore. And I wonder if that's a different season of life or if that's from our TikTok like brains constantly needing like a video in front of us. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know, but people for thousands of years have been talking about the like benefits and the need for like meditation. And I think, I imagine it was probably just as hard. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I imagine 2,000 years ago it was just as hard to sit on a cushion and focus on your breath for 20 minutes. And just as valuable for people, I think. I don't know.
I have done this thing. I've started doing it where if I'm flying to a conference where I know I'm going to be socializing all weekend, I will, on the flight there or the drive there, I'll put in AirPods with the noise canceling or earplugs, and I'll just sit there in complete silence for hours. And it's like my brain is purging of all these neurotransmitters, and I'm allowing myself to become bored so that when I arrive, I'm so ready to socialize and feel
Mm,
refreshed. It's kind of like a secret superpower almost. It like supercharges my whole weekend because that first
mm,
day I'm like I'm depriving myself of socializing, you know,
mm.
because if you're listening to a podcast, you feel like you're in the room with the people. You're almost like filling your social needs in a way by listening to people talk.
Yeah, it's probably one of the reasons I love them.
It's true. All right, so we talked about this actually. So Seth and I, we both realized how the typical question is, it's like you hear people on their deathbed, the number one regret is that they didn't spend enough time with family, right?
Yeah.
Seth and I actually realize we're in the other camp where both him and I are spending so much time with our families. We both actually wonder the opposite, where if we get to the end of our lives and regret not taking enough risk. Do you
Hmm.
feel like that, or have you thought of that?
No,
Oh,
no, I don't think so. I think I'm pretty risk averse. Even though, like, I think to some people, it might seem like what we do is like flipping land. Maybe a lot of people would view it as being really risky, undiversified, or whatever. But I don't view it as being very risky at all because I feel like it's like I understand what I'm doing, or at least I think I do. I mean, I
yeah.
think I understand the markets that I'm playing in pretty well, so it doesn't feel super risky. And I don't. Why do you feel like you haven't? What's a risk? Could you give an example then of a risk that you aren't taking that you think you might regret not taking when you're older?
I just know that when I listen, and this could just be me consuming propaganda, but I just know that when I listen to the Alex Hermosi type stuff or the motivational speeches kind of thing,
Yeah.
I'm always like, I'm not going big enough, you know?
Yeah.
I could be,
Yeah.
there are ways I could grow. There are some ways I feel like Rooster Capital has hit a glass ceiling, like a sweet spot with efficiencies. But I know how to grow it, and I could just put in more effort to grow it. I don't think I want to. I'm happy with where it's at. It's grown naturally, but I could scale it 10 times to what it is. But would I be stressed all the time and not present with my kids? And what is the cost of that? That's the things you think about.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never that whole like swing for the fences, burn the ships, whatever, like that doesn't
Resonate.
resonate with me. Yeah, it's not like I'm not interested in that. But I'm also like, I don't know, I don't think it didn't even resonate even when I was like 21 and had my first 30 grand saved up or whatever. Like even then I was like pretty conservative with it. I don't mind taking big risks with small buckets of or small envelopes of money, so to speak. I'm down with that. Like I'll risk, and when I used to buy and trade stocks or whatever, I would do that sometimes. Where oh, you put a little bit into this thing that could go 500x or it could go to zero, and you're okay with it going to zero. Like that's interesting. That's fun. But I've never like to throw it all in. I don't know. I have too much. I have more to lose now too. But nice house, marriage, trying to have kids. I'm not. I like my comfortable lifestyle. I don't see there's no allure to me in mortgaging it all and going for it. I don't know, doing a massive HELOC on my whole portfolio and just throwing it all into land. I'm not.
See, I'm attracted to that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
want the
well,
adventure.
we differ on this. We've talked about checking account balances and stuff before. But
Yeah.
but it's different. We've talked about I think it's different. You have we probably have like similar lifestyle overheads, I would imagine, maybe you a little more. And you have very low business overhead.
Yeah.
Like your Rooster Capital doesn't cost a lot to operate, but Acre Vault does. I've
Yeah.
got people that depend on Acre Vault, and so it's like I've got to keep operating expense. I got to keep a savings account for operating expenses for if we have a couple months of no sales of land. Like I just don't, and I don't like.
Let's just admit it.
Yeah,
Your comfort cushion is like $1 million, and mine is like a hundred
no, it's
bucks.
not a million, but not that.
It's pretty high.
It's high by a lot of people's standards, yeah. But I liked it. I maybe some of that is also I saw my parents go through. I think they
2008.
went through. Yeah, I saw them go through like losing the house. I think going through bankruptcy. I think they went through bankruptcy, moving into a tiny apartment. But actually, it is funny. I don't know if we've talked about this before. I've talked about this with my therapist before. She asked me to, because I have a lot of fears around this stuff, and she was like, just kept asking me questions about, so, okay, then what happened when you moved into the apartment?
You got
Like when your
happier.
parents, when everybody had to move in, and we were like, honestly, it was like some of the best couple years was living in that tiny ass apartment together. It was
Right.
super fun. So then I'm like, oh, what am I afraid of? But then it's, I don't know. I'm just like, I just don't leveraging it all. Just, it's not appealing to me. I'd rather go raise some more capital to fund that next deal or call you,
Yeah, that's true. Risk other
you
people's
know?
money. Yeah.
Sure.
That's what
And yeah.
the 4 hour work week, which I actually,
Hold on. Sorry. Before I forget, I want to say one other thing about this.
yeah.
The other thing is, I think this is not my idea at all. This is, Tim Ferriss has probably talked about this. A lot of people have talked about this. There's a what's it called? Survivorship bias. Do you know what survivorship bias is?
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah. It's the, you don't hear, it's like you hear the stories. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've read his book, but, and I'm not like poo pooing it or whatever. Like, I think it's a great book and I like Hormozy, but like their story, whatever, like down the bank account running down and almost there. It's cool. Like, I respect that, like doing that thing. I think those stories are cool. I like hearing those stories, but how many of those people, how many people did that, went bankrupt? I have, and I think he's going to bounce back from it because he's a really sharp guy. But I have a friend here in Tampa that had a successful business. I don't want to say who it is or what it is, what the business was, but had a successful business, got over leveraged, overextended to like expand the business, and then is going through, I forget which chapter, but like going through bankruptcy right now. I think was teetering on possibly like losing his house. He's got a family and several kids, and I think he'll bounce back. But there's like, how many stories like that are there where it's like people just go bankrupt and then, I don't know, maybe
Yeah,
they bounce back in 10 years. Maybe they don't. I don't know. I just,
I think the ones that stay down, because I've heard a lot of those. Like, you meet a lot of people that swung for the fences, struck out, got hurt, skinned their knee, and then they spend the rest of their life pointing at their skinned knee.
yeah.
And I think the ones that get knocked down and stay down are the ones, like, it's a mindset issue. And I think instead of looking at it like the curve, instead of looking at the graph as a net worth graph, I think we need to look at it as a skill set curve or a skill set graph.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter like how many times you go bankrupt. I think when you and I bankrupt, we don't mean like filing for bankruptcy. We just mean like a huge hit to your financial status, right?
Yeah.
Like if you are an entrepreneur and you love the game and you know you're going to be doing this until you die and you know you're not really going to retire, then the curve to focus on is the skill set curve, not your net worth. Because your net worth, if you are truly challenging yourself with bigger and bigger challenges, you're going to have massive drops in net worth as you learn and grow. But if your skill set is always increasing, the finances will eventually correlate to that. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. No, I think there's truth to that, but I also think there's also undeniable magic. Well, magic isn't the right word, but the miracle of compounding, uninterrupted compounding interest is also undeniable. And I think that I'm cool with, I understand like ups and downs, like in net worth. I'm saying like, I'm, you also have to be, I guess it depends on what we're talking about too. Cause like, I know some people that have taken what I would say, in my opinion, is unnecessary risk and it's not just about a hit to their net worth. It's like their reputation takes a huge hit, maybe bigger than their net worth, where it's like they had people that have had, whether it's a lender or an investor or both, maybe some of those investors or lenders or family members or friends, and it's like they take unnecessary risk, whatever, get overextended, and then blow up a bunch of other people's savings as well. And
Yeah. I think if you hurt
I don't
other
know.
people, then that's different.
Yeah.
But so Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week was the first self-help book I did. It's probably
Yeah.
in 2013 I did that book. And it absolutely broke my brain. And I actually disagree. So I did his 4 Hour Work Week with my first business, and now I disagree with parts of it. But he takes you down that mindset exercise that your therapist said, where you're like, okay, what happens if you lose
Yeah.
everything? Okay, we move into my parents' lake house and still eat 3
Yeah.
meals a day, right?
Yeah.
And then, okay, and then what happens? I feel like a loser for 6 weeks until I get back on my feet. And then what
Yeah.
happens? Then I build something new and I really enjoy building it. And then what happens? And
Yeah.
you keep playing that game, and you realize that as long as you have a roof over your head and you can provide for your children, like the basic necessities, the whole money game it doesn't matter how well you're doing. What matters is if you're having fun or not.
Yeah.
And with that kind of mindset, I think that's what allows you to swing for the fences if you enjoy swinging for the fences. Maybe you enjoy just getting on first base, right?
Yeah.
Or bunting. For me, I feel like bunting and getting on first base is boring, because I feel like that's what Rooster Capital is doing right now. It's like very consistent, I just actually ran the numbers. My investors are making 30 to 50% annual returns a year,
Yeah.
depending on which. So one guy was doing 30% and the highest guy was doing 50%. Like, that's amazing for them and that's wonderful, but I'm at a point where I'm ready for the next, like, I'm bored.
Yeah.
So that's why I started the podcast, talk to people like you, figure out what is happiness? Okay, so we made a bunch of money, but like, it didn't, like, you're probably above average happy. I'm probably above average happy, but we don't walk around blissful 10 out of 10 every day.
I think people
So
that walk, they're probably insane, right? If they're, you know how dopamine works. It's,
you have to come back
yeah.
eventually.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
This has been like, we started hanging out about a
we
year
met
and a
in,
half, no, almost two
yeah,
years ago. Almost two
yeah.
years ago, we started hanging out and talking. Yeah, you were talking about being bored then.
Oh, was I?
You were.
Maybe I'm just always bored. I don't know.
I don't know. Why do you think you're bored? Do you think it's, I mean, you've done, from what I don't know the ins and outs of the business that you sold to our mutual friends, but it seems like from talking to you about it, it seems like you did a good job, like building something that you were like pretty uninvolved in the
Right.
day-to-day operations of. And then it seems, at least for me, like working with you on some deals, like working with Rooster Capital and seems like Kelly handles a lot of the
Right.
day-to-day of that, which is sweet.
I think the way I think about it, so
Do you think you're just bored because you're coasting on it? Because it sounds like you're just coasting.
picture like a little kid. They get a Lego Death Star for birthday or something.
Okay. Yeah.
There's two ways to play with the Legos. The first way is to build it, and then the second way
Yeah.
is make believe, you make the little people talk to each other. I enjoy building it, but I don't enjoy playing with it. Once it's built, I'm like, okay, what's next?
I can
So
relate to that. Yeah.
it's once the business model hits a sweet spot, I'm ready to do something else. But you don't want to just cut a cash cow that's working really well
Yeah.
and helping. I had an
Yeah. But
investor, she's a stay-at-home mom, and from funding my deals, she has made high five figures. Like
That's sick.
she has made a middle class income from wiring money like 7 times.
Yeah.
But she's sending, because of those deals, she's able to send her kids to private school, like a school that she believes agrees with her values. And so you don't want to just cut something that's working just because you're bored. That's like your ADHD is doing damage.
What, why would you, yeah, why would you cut it? It's if you've truly done a good job of getting to a point where it's boring and you don't have to be involved, then just let it keep running itself.
I am with this
Put your 3 hours a week in or whatever, and then start the next thing.
because what I found is it's less about the time it takes on my calendar and
I
more
know what you're gonna
about
say. The mental space.
it
I don't
is.
know if I
It's
believe
true
all
though.
this. I don't
It's
know.
true. It's
I don't
true
know.
though.
Then what about all the people that have like I know so many entrepreneurs from around Tampa that they have a bunch of different businesses that are now I guess some of the people I'm thinking of what they have is like 10 different restaurants. But they're different restaurants, completely different in different areas and everything, but there's some overlap, of course, some Venn diagram of efficiency there, but
That's why I want
I
to
don't know.
interview them. So I wonder if your brain gets to a point where it's so maxed out, it can't afford to worry about dumb stuff, so it doesn't. And so if you have an entrepreneur that owns 20 different businesses, he or she, they just can't afford to think about it that much.
Maybe I don't know.
So maybe the answer is just do more. Just have more businesses.
I
I
don't
don't know.
know. I don't know. It is funny though. I feel like I guess I what I've said to you before, I'll say it now in this recorded environment. I think like my concern about you doing anything rash because you're bored is don't do something like I don't know. It just seems like why take if taking like risk because you're bored just doesn't I don't understand
This
that. It just
podcast is
doesn't like
tur-
make any sense to me.
this is funny. This podcast is turning out to be therapy for me, which was not the point of it. But the feedback I've gotten to that is stop trying to fill your adventure needs through business risk and financial risk.
Ah,
Instead get like an extreme hobby, right?
yeah,
And
maybe.
the problem with that is I'll kill myself within a year. I mean, I'll be dead. If like what I'll do, I mean, you've been in my
Depends on the
car.
hobby, but
I got that thing from LA to Phoenix. I got that thing up to 158
yeah.
because I just wanted to see. So that's when I realized, okay, if I try to fill this adventure need through hobbies, like I'll eventually push it too far.
I don't know. Maybe I'm like also, maybe what's different for me is I had 16 years of a ton of adventure, like traveling the world, working for
Right.
all different bands, like doing all kinds of crazy shit, like partying a ton, like making friends on every continent and just doing all kinds of cool stuff. Lots of adventure. And I'm just like, maybe I
You
just,
got it
maybe
out of
there's a
your
degree of,
system.
maybe, I don't know. I don't know if that's even a thing. Do you get things out of your system? I don't know. Maybe you do.
I used to
Maybe I did.
I jumped out of airplanes, I jumped out of helicopters, I rode
Army
fast.
sounds pretty adventurous and cool too. Yeah. I don't know.
Once I figure it out, I'm going to start a camp for recovering adrenaline addicts.
I think I've told you before, I think rock climbing could be a cool one for you to get into because it's actually, if you do it correctly, it's actually quite safe.
That's
And
what's wrong with it, is it's too safe. What's the
well,
point?
man, you tell your nervous system that when you're lead climbing and you're 100 feet above the ground and you miss a clip and you take a
You
40
you
foot
fall.
whip on the, you take a 40-foot whip and you're fine afterwards. But boy,
I don't know.
it's, I don't know,
I
man. That's how that's how I get my adrenaline up. I
I
don't
did
know.
a lot of climbing in the Italian Alps and the French Alps.
That's sick.
And the climbers above us yelled, we heard them yell something, and we look up, and there's a cluster of bowling ball sized rocks falling towards us. And we ran in the wrong way. We ran into the cluster, and these bowling ball sized boulders land all around us, like a few feet away. And I believe there was a guardian angel like pushing them to not hit us, because there's probably five of us, and this cluster hit all around us. There's probably like 20 rocks in the cluster. And just the chances that none of us would have gotten hit, I don't know. Just felt like the odds were too slim for it to not to be something spiritual. I see what you're saying. So there's got to be something. I've talked about paintball before, where
Paintball is so fun.
feels so like your nervous system feels like you're actually in combat.
It's sick. We should play paintball next time we're hanging out.
Yeah.
That would be so
It,
fun. There's some good
we
paintball fields near here.
when you have like a grown man running at you, screaming and shooting, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
All right, let's do another
I
one.
think, yeah, let's hear it. No, go, go. I'm ready.
I'm trying to find ones that are more appropriate for you. Let's talk about marriage a little bit. This is actually not on the list of questions.
Sure.
I know that I know you guys have had discussions before on you working too much, but I also,
Yes.
I wonder if you went the other extreme where you outsourced everything and you're around a lot. Do you think she would get sick of you if you're around too much?
If I was around too much, despite whatever she says, yeah, she would be like, dude, give me some space for sure. And
So
I
there
know
is
this because
balance,
Elena's an introvert. She
right?
loves her alone time. She likes her time to just sit and read or watch one of her like guilty pleasure shows or just be alone. She likes time alone, as do I. And no, if I was just like around all the time, that would get old for her. Yeah. And I think also there's a thing where it's like she likes, and I think this is probably true for a lot of male female relationship dynamics. I think like she likes when I'm like, no, I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna go get after it or whatever. I don't know. She doesn't want me to. She doesn't. Despite how sometimes she might try to cut my balls off, I'm not gonna let her, and she likes that. You know what I mean? Does that
She
make?
wants you to pursue an endeavor and work hard
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
if you automated every part of Acre Vault as possible and you're just around to hang out, she'd go crazy.
Unless I was doing tons of projects like renovating the house and building an addition on the house and building stuff for her, that might be different. If I was like doing that kind of stuff, maybe like just doing a bunch of nesting projects, landscaping and stuff. But it's like I got to be doing stuff. Yeah. Like she
Do you
loved, like
know?
today, I spent the first 8 hours of the day purging I got my truck is loaded up with crap that's going to go to the thrift store. I purged and organized her potting bench. I fixed a bunch of stuff around the house. I cleaned the roof. I pulled a bunch of weeds, deep cleaned the sauna and the cold plunge. Like I just did a bunch of crap like that. And she's so stoked.
Yeah.
So happy. Yeah.
Have you heard of Derek Sivers?
Yeah, I love him.
So I'm actually going to try to get him on this podcast.
That's
I
sick.
spoke with him. Him and I spoke, I don't know, probably 8 years ago or something. And he was giving me advice. Back then, I was day trading commodities, and he was helping me through some of my conundrums. But he wrote the book called Hell Yeah or No.
Yeah.
Have you done it?
No, but I've never read the book, but I heard him talk about it on the podcast, like the concept of it, and I'm trying to what my low level of familiarity with the concept. I'm trying to bring that into my decision making more by just asking myself that
So,
question. Does that get the essence of it? Or
yeah, so it's the idea for the listeners who haven't done his book, it's the idea of when an opportunity hits you, if it's not a hell yeah, then it's a no.
yeah, yeah,
And I agree with that on academic, like high level concept. But in terms of my like my monkey brain stem or whatever part of my brain is based on survival and security, it seems very scary. So I have good opportunities. I would say B plus opportunities hit me quarterly or a couple times a quarter, where somebody's, hey, let's do this business endeavor and go make $1 billion. And most of them I say no to, but it feels scary. I need to be careful with how I phrase this. I've said yes to a few of them that aren't hell yes because my thought process is I'll learn from it. And on
yeah.
paper, it seems like a good opportunity. However, it's emotionally, it's not a hell yeah.
But the first time I heard him talk about this concept, he also said in the same like conversation, it was a podcast, that depending on where you are in your like cycle as a entrepreneur or whatever it is that you're doing, there are times where it's appropriate to take every opportunity that presents itself, or almost every opportunity, even if it's not like a hell yeah. Like I think he's using an example of when he was like performing. Was he like a clown or something? Did he perform as like a clown at birthday parties? It was something like that where it's like he would take every gig,
Yeah.
basically. There was a time when
Like,
he would take every gig. So I think there's also something to be said for it's like we touched on like at the very beginning of this conversation when I was saying like, yeah, I mean, there's deals that we turn down because we're like this the juice ain't worth the squeeze here. But there's also a lot of deals where it's like, I'm not super excited about doing this deal. It's like we just closed on one on Friday that it's I'm not super excited about the deal, but like it's definitely not a hell yeah. However, I know we're not going to lose money on it. And I know we're going to make a little bit of money. I know we're going to make a decent return. Like
yeah.
it's a sure thing. It's a sure thing we make a little bit of money on this. We might end up doubling our money. I'm not exactly sure. But there's just some reasons I'm just not but I'm just like, you know what, we're going to do this. And you know how it is our business. It's like for us, a not very good deal is, oh, maybe we make a 50% annualized return on this deal. It's
Right.
like, what's the problem?
So maybe I missed
Yeah.
that. So Derek Sivers was saying that, you might be in a season of life where you need to say yes to the B plus stuff because like beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, I think that was the point he was getting at a little bit. It was just like I I can tell you that I don't remember exactly how he said it, but I know I remember when I was listening to this, it made me think exactly of where I was at that time, which where I was at that time was like I took every gig I could possibly get. And when I was home from tour, I fixed every guitar, no matter how annoying the repair was going to be. Like, I took every single job that could come across my desk, every single stupid little restring or refret or replacing this pickup. It's like I did all of that. And I would do like anything I could possibly do on my rental properties without paying someone else, just do the labor myself. It's like I would do it myself. Same for on my own house. If I could do it well myself, I was going to do it on my own. And I definitely reached a point. I was probably still doing that when it was no longer a good use of my time. But I don't know. I think by doing that stuff, you get a lot of, like you said, maybe you say yes to a B minus opportunity, but it's like you're still make money. You learn. Here's a good example. Like I own, so Jenny is our director of marketing. Her husband, Joe, is like a part-time, he's like a special project manager for us. Joe has been one of my best friends since I was 15 years old. We've known each other 23 years. We used to work in the same mall. He worked on the other side of the food court. I worked at Chick-fil-A. He worked at Ritz Camera. Hmm. We became buds. I also met Jenny around that same time before they started dating. I don't even think they knew each other yet. Became pretty good friends with Jenny. Not super close with Jenny, but pretty close. Really cool. Like we just good friends. We fell out of touch for many years, and around the same time started buying rental properties, and then we got back into touch. I don't even remember how. Maybe it was like Facebook or something. We fell back into contact, started hanging out a little bit. We bought I've actually never thought about, I've never actually made like all of this connection to like what you're saying right now, but this is good stuff. So we bought a duplex together in 2018. And I wasn't very excited about buying this duplex. Joe was very much, we got to buy another rental. Let's buy this one together. We'll work together. Like it needed a full renovation. It was already gutted basically when we bought it. And he was like, let's just do it. And we worked out like the arrangement of the profit split and all that stuff. And basically we put up like 50-50 money and mostly 50-50 labor. Joe definitely put in more of the labor, way more of the labor. But we knew it was going to be like that because I was on tour a lot. So I wasn't going to be able to put in the same amount of physical work that he did. So anyways, we owned this duplex for 4 or 5 years. The only reason we made money on this thing is because the market went up so much in that time. We did a bunch of things wrong, a bunch of things went wrong. We had crappy tenants for a lot of the time. It was more headache. That duplex was
Right.
more headache than my entire rental portfolio. Like the 4 years that we owned it, it was way more headache and mental strain than my entire rental portfolio combined for the last 12 years. However, because of that duplex, we spent a lot more time together, a lot more time on the phone, getting to know each other better. We went through owning this crappy thing together and going through a bunch of headache and stuff. And our friendship was even better at the end of all of that. And now we do a whole bunch of business together. Now it's like
Right.
Jenny works for me. Jenny's a freaking just an awesome person, just so great to work with, so much fun. Joe, so great to work with, like super hard, smart worker, like really sharp. They're both like just super sharp, very smart people. And they have helped me make way more money in the last, like in the land flipping side of things. They have helped me make way more money than I would have without them. And also vice versa. I've helped them to make like a lot of money from investing in deals and also working on deals and getting profit share and base pay and commission and all of that stuff. And all of that, honestly, I don't know if any of that would have happened had we not
Right.
if we hadn't bought the duplex together. I don't know if they would, I don't know if we'd be in the same position because also I was like uncomfortable. I've always been a little uncomfortable with going into business and working with like friends and family as like just more and more as I get older.
Right.
But with them, I was like, I thought it all out. I was like, man, we have a business now that's like really profitable and goes well and it's really fun. We already owned a little business together that sucked and it
Right.
actually still went pretty well. Like we had fun with it and we have tons of jokes about that. And we were just joking around about that duplex yesterday morning. They're on vacation in Turkey right now. And we talked yesterday. It was like 5:30 in the morning, my time. We talked for an hour and a half, the three of us, just like on speakerphone while their kids were in the car. And so I don't know. That's an example of something like I knew in my gut. I don't know if I knew in my gut. I was just like, I didn't have a good feeling about buying that property. Now, maybe what I should have done is said, Joe, I don't like this one. Let's get something different. Yeah, you could make all those arguments. But my point is that,
You said yes to what felt like a B minus opportunity, and it really good things came from it.
yeah, even honestly, most of the rental properties that I bought, actually, in hindsight, every rental that I ever have bought, I shouldn't have bought that rental. I should have bought 100 different ones in a better neighborhood that would have, that neighborhood is appreciated way more. I would have had an easier time with tenants and this stuff. But does that mean I shouldn't have bought them? Does that mean I shouldn't have even started? No, yeah, I could have made better decisions, and now I know that. But I wouldn't know that information. I wouldn't have the knowledge that I had now if I didn't make the investments that I did back then. I don't know. I think the same thing, like whatever you're potentially working on, whether it's, you can edit this out if I'm saying something I shouldn't, but like whether it's tiny homes in Arabia or tiny homes on land from Mexico or whatever the thing is that you're like working on. It's, I'm not saying do everything or whatever, but it's, I don't know, just because you have nothing to, if you don't have an A plus deal to work on, does that mean you need to wait around twiddling your thumbs until an A plus deal comes around? Maybe, depending on where you are. I think Warren Buffett is like a guy that's, he's, what would he would say, he's like waiting for, always waiting for the fat pitch, right?
Yeah.
But
And the rebuttal
does
to
that mean
that would
you
be
need to do
that,
that?
like, he has the luxury, he's at the elite status where he can afford to just wait years for that home run to come past, right?
Yeah.
See, like the thing with the, and this won't be released for a couple months, so I can take this out if I feel uncomfortable, but like with the, so I'm going to China in 2 weeks and we're going to tour factories, find one to build our product, and then we're going to cash in on the $1.5 trillion budget that the Saudi government has to build their, essentially Saudi Arabia realizes they need to become the next Dubai if they're going to survive, because oil is projected to hit peak demand at 2030 and then drop from there. And so if most of the revenue currently comes from oil, they need to switch over to a tourist economy. So they're going to build all these futuristic cities and do all these cool projects. And if we can tap into a fraction of that, a fraction of a fraction, there's a lot of money to be made. And so on paper, it's a great opportunity. I'll learn from it. It's cool, right? I'm going to tour factories in China and then I'm going to sell our product to the Saudi government. That's awesome, right? But emotionally, and the business partner I have, he's great. He's a college buddy who's brilliant. But emotionally, I'm not really into it right now. But I'm staying involved because I know it's a good opportunity. And so it's like this, it's not a hell yeah right now. Oh, you can bring the kids down. The kids are awake. Like, it's not a hell yeah, but I know on paper it's a good opportunity. And so, like, maybe in 6 months it'll be a hell yeah. Like, maybe in 6 months I'll be super into it and I'll be glad I stuck through the season where I wasn't interested. I don't know. I know that every time I'm with my business partner and our Chinese vendors, I enjoy them as people, and I know that they are capable and brilliant. But currently, the thought of flying to Saudi Arabia every month and China all the time sounds exhausting. Maybe I just need a prescription of Adderall or something. I don't know. All right. Maybe I need to have worship sessions on the flight and be in tune with Holy Spirit. And it sounds exhausting right now. And so that's why I'm conflicted.
I can say a few things in response to that. I'm pretty sure you can afford to fly business class for those trips. So that might make it quite a bit less exhausting. You could definitely afford that. It's a good Clementine. They've been real good this season.
Is that from the orange grove that you bought?
No, I wish. That'd be cool. Although the fruit from there was killer. We sold it.
Oh, that's right.
The fruit was really good. There was a couple different types of citrus that was growing there, and they were all very good. I think, I'll tell you, maybe this is consistent in other times, but I feel like many times when we've had conversations where you're like, bored, you're not that into whatever you're doing. A lot of times it's close to a vacation, or maybe you're on a vacation and you're at the beginning of this, you're partying a little hard, you're out of your like workout routine. I think a lot of,
That's true.
and dude, I remember the last vacation I went on where I went like off the rails for a little while was 2019. Elena and I, we went to Australia. We stayed with some friends. They had this badass little house they were renting in this little town of, I think it's Vaucluse. It's like right outside of Bondi. So we were in this, like the sickest area of Sydney for 5 weeks. And the first 2 weeks I didn't work out. I was drinking like every night, eating like just whatever food I wanted to. It was just like I was completely off. And 2 weeks into the vacation, I was like so depressed.
Right.
And I was like, what the fuck? I should be like so stoked. Like I'm here on vacation and I'm like miserable. And then I was like, oh, I think I actually talked about it with Elena and she was like, have you worked out since we've been here? And I'm like, no, I haven't worked out. And and you've drank like every night. I'm like, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
I have. And then had these realizations. And then from then on, the rest of the trip, I worked out 6 days a week, sometimes seven, was super active the rest of the time. Like went on hikes every day, swimming, surfing, ate. I still partied some the rest of the trip, but it was like more and back. It was like, okay, I'm going to party
Right.
one night a week and I'm going to be reasonable about what I'm eating and I'm not going to eat candy all day. And then I had a great time. And now that's become like on vacation,
You
I
keep the
keep it in
healthy
line. I keep it in
routines.
line now. Dude, even like we went
Yeah.
camping last weekend and I bring my 53-pound kettlebell in the bed of my truck. I do my 30-minute kettlebell swings, Turkish get-ups, overhead press, whatever I got to do. Like I'll do that. I went for like a 7 mile run in the woods and did a bunch of push-ups on the second day. It's because that's what I need to do. I just don't feel good if I don't do that. I just feel like, so it's, wait a minute, like I think I used to think, oh, I'm on vacation. I should chill. And
Right.
these are all the things I do to make sure I feel good when it's a Wednesday and I'm at work. Like, why wouldn't I do the things to make me feel good when I'm like chilling in the woods with my friends? I want to feel good there too. I want to feel like lit up and conversational and excited. And I don't know. I think a lot of times you tend to go super hard, whether it's a vacation or a conference trip or, a trip with me. And then you
Out
feel
of
like not
sorts.
yourself. And now you're like strategizing about your life when you're like not even feeling that great. You're not at your best. So you shouldn't be strategizing about your next move when you're feeling like shit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm
Make
not saying you feel
those
like shit. I'm not saying you feel like shit right now. I just like,
on Saturday. I was like, something's got to change. And then I was like, oh, I'll start running. And I immediately went out that same day and bought running shoes and I started running. But it is true. We shouldn't be trying to make plans when we're in the valley. Make those
yes.
plans when you're on the mountaintop and you have
And you can
clarity.
actually see. Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever heard Tony Robbins talk about state, story, strategy?
I have not.
I think basically he talks about the idea is that you have to get yourself into the right state so you tell yourself a good story and then you strategize from that place. I think I'm probably butchering this a little bit, but whatever. So he brings up the point of what you don't want to do is if you're in a negative state and then you start
Yeah.
telling yourself a shitty stuff. For you, it's like you've been drinking highballs every day for 3 weeks and you haven't worked out. And then you start telling yourself this story that I'm bored and I need to take more risk. And I'm not making fun of any of
Right.
those ideas.
Yeah.
Just to be
Yeah.
clear, I'm just making a point. So, oh, I'm bored. I need to take more risk. Oh, I don't like Rooster Capital anymore. And I need to do something else more exciting, blah, blah, blah. And then, so now let me start strategizing about what I'm going to do. No, that's all backwards. It's go for your run, do your push-ups, do your pull-ups,
Yeah.
squats,
Yeah.
whatever it is that day. Drink some water, have your caffeine if that's your thing, a reasonable amount, and then tell yourself a good story about, oh, I'm Drew. I have an awesome wife and two beautiful daughters. How cool is it that we're in like Osaka for 6 weeks or whatever right now. And I have a successful business that I've sold a successful business. I have another business that I'm not super involved in, have an awesome employee to run that. And what do I want to do? Now, that's the place
Right.
to run your strategy session from.
Yeah, I agree.
When we do as our team, when we do our annual meeting and planning and goal setting, and then we do that quarterly, I put like an immense amount of like positive pressure on myself and work into making sure that I'm in like peak state for those quarterly meetings. Like I'm like my routine is dialed. I haven't drank in like over 6 months anyways. I'm taking an extended hiatus from drinking, but I make sure when I was drinking, I'd be like, I'm sober for the week before. And it just put a lot of work into making sure that like when I'm getting into this strategy time, I'm gonna make sure that my state is like as peak as it can be, and my story is like peak, positive, true, where it needs to be before I get into strategizing.
Yeah, that's good. Peter Nukasani had good advice where, and I do this now. He's, hey, if you're in a bad mood, don't take a phone call.
Yeah.
Don't talk to your employees.
Yep.
Don't take a phone call because it's not a healthy representation. So you've cut
Yeah.
drinking, which last year, I think I was dry for 270 days last year.
Because you did 75 hard 6 times.
Yeah, it took me 8 tries to do 75 hard.
That's awesome.
So I can cut any bad habit I found. I can cut it really easily. But what
Hmm.
I found I do is I always have to replace it with something.
Yeah.
And ideally I replace it with a healthy habit like running or exercise or something. But often what I do is I just replace it with a habit that's less bad, but still bad.
Such as.
I'm like, okay, I'll cut caffeine. I'll cut coffee because coffee is making my anxiety high. And when my anxiety is high, I make brainstem decisions. I make fight or flight, survival based decisions. But then to get off caffeine, I start the nicotine pouches. So then I do those for 3 weeks and I'm like, okay, I need to get off nicotine. So then I go back on coffee or I find that I go through this cycle and I feel like the right answer is that I should do meditation and prayer and scripture and go for a run. And that's all great. But I think I only know one guy. I probably less than 1% of the people I know actually do all the right things. They have the perfect
Well,
morning routine.
you were talking about this sort of in our one of our group threads the other day, one of our WhatsApp threads. You were talking about like even like how a lot of people we know and have grown up with, oh, I don't drink, never drank, never smoked, don't even have caffeine, but bring on the sugar.
Yep.
That might be worse than a lot of those things.
Like I know one guy, and you know him too. There's one guy I know that he does no vices. He does no no vices, including caffeine, no sugar, obviously no pornography.
No masturbating.
Yep. He
Yeah.
does no Netflix. Like he is the cleanest person I know. However,
Yeah.
he's not, I don't want to sound judgy, but he's also not meditating or reading scripture or praying. Like he
I think
also
that's changing. I think that's changing, just so you know.
okay.
For the positive. Yeah.
That okay. So let's say
So
he
now he does
is.
everything.
So he's the one person I know out of everyone in my entire life who's checking all the boxes green, right?
Yeah.
And but he has no wife and kids. So like he's missing a lot of the some of those challenges that we have. So I just part of me wonders, Jesus was that perfect. This is my belief. Jesus was that perfect model for us, right? Technically he drank alcohol, but I just part of me wonders how realistic it is to strive for perfection.
I think it's to strive for it. Anybody can strive for it.
But does that lower your satisfaction when you don't hit it? how many years have I spent trying to
Mm,
be perfect and beating myself up when I'm not perfect?
mm. Have you read The Gap in the Gain?
I have.
Man, I'm listening to it for the 10th time. I'm just trying to just brainwash myself with that book.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's relevant to this question. That's what made me think of it. But
Yeah. So, yeah. So I would summarize that book. It's like Gratefulness 2.0, right?
yeah,
How to be super grateful and then not comparing yourself to others. Instead, you compare yourself to a version of yourself 5 years ago.
yeah.
And
Measure backwards. Always measure
yeah,
backwards
measuring
against
backwards.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say if I used that, so be grateful and measure backwards, I think I'm doing great. And I think you're doing great.
Yeah.
But then there's that hustle culture, those motivational speeches that we listen to when we work out, at least I do, that makes you feel
I
like
don't listen to
those,
shit when I work out because it's better for you.
okay. I listen to
No, it's
those.
not entirely true. Sometimes I put on some Pantera if I need to like some extra like oomph. Put
Yeah.
on some Pantera or Dillinger Escape Plan or something. Get
So
pumped up.
there's these tracks on Spotify that they patch together all these motivational speeches, and
You've
it's
played me some of
basic.
them.
Yeah, it pumps you up, but it indoctrinates you with the belief that if you're not like winning in every category of life, then you're a loser, or at least trying really hard. Like you need to put up 100% effort, and you need to be waking up early and staying up late, and it's just this like unhealthy. It like puts you on this treadmill where you're sprinting, and you're like, "Am I even supposed to be sprinting? I'm exhausted." And I think if we just be grateful and measure backwards, we're doing just great. But it
Yeah.
does conflict with the mantra of the hustle culture.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, my kids are awake. I hear them coughing and eating bananas. The 3-year-old, have you met her? I forget if you've met.
I haven't met the 3-year-old. No.
So
You
whenever
were
she
gonna
eats a,
bring her to our house the one time, and then you didn't end up
yeah,
bringing her for some reason. But
that's right. Whenever she eats a banana, she makes these monkey noises. So it's like really cute.
hey, what's the thing they call? What's the little daddy thing that they call you in Mandarin?
Oh, Xiao Baba. Yeah.
Xiao Baba.
Yep. Oh,
And I mean little daddy.
it was an insult. So May is in first grade. When she was in kindergarten, she was learning Chinese, and she like came up with an insult because obviously I'm like 6'3", 200 pounds. So she thought it was funny to call me little daddy.
It's pretty
But
good.
she actually just yesterday hit a huge milestone where she learned that you can take money into 7-Eleven and you can buy whatever you want. And because I sent her, 7-Eleven was a block away. I could see it with my eyes. And I sent her with a handful of money to go buy, she wanted to buy these dried fish. Okay.
Okay.
So she's all nervous because she's never
It's
been
like
on
the
her
fish
own.
skin chips.
Yes. Yeah. They're super gross.
So good. Oh, you
Oh,
don't
I
like
think they're,
those?
they taste very fishy. To me, they're gross. So she
I
goes
don't know
in
what the
by
ones you
herself.
guys have there. I've had the ones in Singapore, and they're so good. Sorry, go ahead.
The kids eat them. The kids like them. So she goes in. They're out of the fish skin things because she bought them all. And so she buys dried squid. She comes out and you can see the wheels turning. She's, wait a second. If I get more of this money stuff, I could keep going back to 7-Eleven and buy more things. And so she went back like a half hour later, and this is money I gave her. She bought mochi, which is like
Nice.
rice
Oh
rice
yeah.
cakes basically.
Oh, it's so
And
good.
then she's hooked. She's addicted. And she's, Daddy, I want to go again. And that's when I'm like, okay, now you're at the age where I can teach you money principles. And actually, you're no longer getting free money from me. I'm not your sugar daddy. You're gonna work for your money. And Renee, my wife and I decided that we're gonna pay her for her schoolwork, like 25 cents an hour or something. And so it's just so fun to see these stages happen. And
Yeah.
I'm excited for you and Elena. Again, let me know if you want me to edit that out. Hint,
No,
hint.
that's fine. Especially if this is
So
coming out in months.
that's true.
Yeah.
So wife and kids are awake. I'm gonna take off. Josiah, it's been so good to have you on, and I feel very I don't believe in luck, but I feel like it was a divine appointment where you and I can become friends because
Same.
you and I think we connect on a lot of levels, and it's just been really good to interview you in a more of a public forum because you're a little bit, I don't think this is on purpose, but because you're just so in the zone with your business, you're reclusive. I know
Yeah.
you've been on some podcasts, but you're not really out there in the world. You're the millionaire next door where you keep your head down, you do what you're good at, and you're just busy enjoying your life. And so I'm excited to introduce you to the world and excited for you to come speak. You're going to be one of the panelists this summer at the Supercar event.
Yeah, I was just gonna say panelists, right? I'm not like speaking.
Yeah, yeah, you're going to be one of the panelists.
Yeah,
Excited to have you.
that's gonna be fun.
And is
And we're in the
there
same house again, right?
I yeah, we are actually. We are.
Sick. Heck yeah.
So
Sorry, what were you
is
gonna say?
is there any plugs you want to make? Anything that you're promoting, any events that you're hosting that you want to tell people about, any way that people can get a hold of you if they want?
Yeah. So people can reach out to me. They can email me at just Josiah at acrevault.com. And we're in the early stages of maybe starting a fund or something like that. Or we're always looking for money for the deals that we have in our pipeline as well. So if anybody, I don't even know if I can say this on a podcast, but if anybody's interested in investing in deals, reach out to me or lending money on deals or whatever. And also if anybody has any deals that they want to assign contracts on or they want JV partnering on, please reach out to me at same thing at that email. I can't think of, oh, I don't know. If you have any land you want to sell, hit me up there too. I don't know. I can't think of, I don't have any like events or coaching program or anything like that. We're just
I
focused
love
on
it.
flipping land. Yeah.
FYI, I did research it and it's SEC compliant as long as you either know them or as long as they have collateral. So if it falls into one of those two buckets, you're good to have people fund your deals.
Can you
If
promote
it's
a fund? What if if you like go through the steps of hiring an attorney and doing like a PPM, then you can advertise it publicly, right? If you're only taking accredited investors or if you're only taking people, then it's legal, I think, right?
so if as long as they have legitimate collateral, anyone can invest in your deals. If they're friends and family, they can just send you money with no real collateral because that's an
Got it.
exception.
Okay.
That's not considered you selling a security. You would be selling security
Oh,
if strangers are sending you money and with no collateral. That would be selling a security.
this is why. Okay, so we formed an LLC for our North Carolina, our Charlotte subdivide, and this is why the attorney said we didn't need to do a PPM is because probably because there's collateral because it's all the
Yeah.
investors are LPs
Yep.
of an
Yeah. That.
LLC that actually owns land,
Yeah.
actually owns real property that they're on title to. Yeah,
Yeah. So collateral would be
got it.
they need to be on title or on the operating agreement of the entity, or they need to have first lien position. That's typically what would be considered real
Got it.
collateral in real estate.
Okay. Huh. Are you going to go that route, you think? Like a fund or something like that at some point?
That's another 2 hour
Seems like it would be a
conversation.
lot less. Yeah, it is
Well,
another 2 hour conversation.
the
It just seems like it'd be a
summary,
lot less work for you than the way you currently do it.
no. So I've researched this thoroughly and I've gone through so many thought patterns on this. And the bottom line is that it's a ton of work to set up. And once you get all the money into the fund, it's great. But once you deploy it, then it's out. Okay. And then let's say you don't have enough deals to deploy all the cash, then
you're stressing because it's a liability. Your investors are like, hey, I want my return. And you're like, hey, I'm not going to deploy your money into
A bad
mediocre
deal.
deals. Right. In my opinion, it's causes a lot of inflexibility, a lot of extra stress on me,
Mm,
and just there's way more downsides than upsides. So what I currently
hmm.
do is all that money sits in their account. I have a
Yeah.
network of investors. When I'm not using their money, it sits in their account. They can do whatever they want with it. When I need their money, then I access it. I call them, right? Hey, do you want to fund this deal? And yes, there's more wires going back and forth with my current model. It allows me to pivot the most. I just don't ever want to
Mm,
accept, let's say I raise 3 million and it's like a 3-year period. That means that I have to exercise that money for the next 3 years.
yeah.
So what if I like want to check out and retire in South Korea in 6 months? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, yeah, this is gonna have to be another 2-hour conversation, just you and I, because I've been wondering about the. It just felt like putting together. Can you edit this part out? Um,
Yeah.
like especially like right here. I'm just thinking about like raising 1.4 million for that deal was like it was a lot. Now it would be way less work. If I had to do it again next month, it'd be way less. I bet you it would be 90% less work than doing it the first time. However, still a lot of work, a lot of follow up, a lot of back and forth to get all the subscription agreements signed, to get the wires sent in. And so I just
But
couldn't
nobody
help but
knows.
think,
I can edit if you want, but nobody knows what deal you're talking about. I know which one
oh,
you're
that's
talking
true.
about.
I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's just it that was like so much work of the back and forth, and I guess it just seems like we have enough of deal flow. You and I have talked about this too. There's a lot of deals that
Let me just say this.
we've yeah.
I have yet to meet someone in our business who is glad they started a fund. But I've heard multiple
Ah,
times from high performing people in this business, I've heard multiple times that they regret it.
oh, okay. I
Imagine
guess
getting what's the best case scenario is the fund is a debt fund at 12% interest. Let's say that's the best case scenario from your perspective. Imagine,
you're on the hook to pay 12% to your investors.
yeah,
Got
let's
it.
say that's the
Okay.
best case scenario because a more costly one would be a profit sharing model with a hurdle and a waterfall and stuff. So even if you got the best structure possible, which we both know a guy in the business who has that, it would be like getting a line of credit from a bank that you can't, that's inflexible. Like you can't send it
Yeah.
back.
So you have to, yeah. You're like, you're paying interest on that money, whether you're using it or not. I guess to me, it seems like maybe the solution is like you raise a fund I don't know much about this world, but it seems like maybe it's like you raise a fund that's like big enough to be meaningful, but small enough that you are pretty confident you could probably put all of it to work in deals over the next, let's say, 5 or 6 months.
So I
That's
think,
the other reason I think about this is there's so many deals that we have turned down that I think are actually like, I say all the time, there's so many deals we turn down where I'm like, if I had 10 million in the bank, 20 million in the bank, I would do this deal because it would be like a buy for 240 and sell for 330. I would
but
do that deal. I'm not going to do that deal right now because it's just I'm not going to buy for 240 to make 40K or whatever.
right.
If
But
you
that
had
money,
but that's a
what
great
if,
return if you have a ton of money. I
yeah,
don't know. Does that What were you going to
I,
say? Sorry.
I think that money could just sit in someone else's account. Obviously, you can't control it, but even if you could structure it in a way where it made sense on paper, the investor relations portion of a fund is, even if you have low maintenance investors, it is significantly more pressure than what you'd expect. So for me, I always prefer to use my own cash for deals first because I make twice as much for half the work, essentially, versus when I arbitrage. So okay, let's say it's a buy for 50, list at 100.
Right.
Let's say I don't have the 50. I go to someone else. I offer them half my cut, right? So they get half my profit, not half the profit of the deal, half of my cut. And my cut is anywhere from like 30 to 50%, usually 40 to 50%. So essentially, I make half the amount of money. Now I have another person who I have to explain the deal to. If anything goes wrong with the deal or the deal's delayed, I explain it more. Then they come to me 6 months later and they're like, hey, I need to pay like my son's college tuition. I need my money back. And I'm like, yo, it's in the deal. Like, I can't just magically turn that into cash. And so what I realized, I actually talked about this on a different podcast a few weeks ago. I realized that a third of my income, which is my arbitrage income. So 2/3 of my income is money that's made from my own money. A third of it is from arbitraged money. And that arbitraged money
is 3/4 of your work.
It's 90% of my stress and work. So
that can't be the case when you're arbitraging me, though, right? Because I don't bug. I'm in
that's true.
2 little deals with you. I've never asked you about them one time.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. There are some, but again, it's 80% of my investors are great. They leave me alone. They're reasonable. If something goes wrong, they're like reasonable humans. But it's that 1 out of 5, that 20% that like really make things difficult.
Got to drop them. Got to cut them out.
I do, but once they're in a deal, like if the deal takes 9 months, that's 9 months of me giving them updates. And like when the reason I think I'm one of the best in the business at what I do, when an investor asks me for an update, I don't just say, oh, it hasn't sold yet, still waiting. I actually spend a half hour. I look into the deal. I scrub the listing. I audit the deal. And I just make sure, hey, is it not selling for a specific reason? Is there anything we can improve on? That, and I make them a loom typically. And I give them a very thorough summary. That takes me about a half hour.
Yeah.
Right? And so I do enjoy doing that. And whenever someone asks me for more information, it does make me better because it makes me look into it deeper. But still, I think to circle back around to starting a fund or not, I think the investor relations portion will be more emotional maintenance and education than what you're willing to do.
I guess we'll see. It's funny. We have a fractional CFO, and he's actually in that large subdivide deal I was mentioning earlier. And we talk occasionally about the fund thing, and he keeps saying the best time to raise a fund or raise money is right after you've made everybody a bunch of money on a deal. Yeah. So we keep talking. Now we're a ways away from being like exited from this. This is going to be like probably at least a 12-month time frame for this deal. But it's just something that we're in conversation about. Just keeping it's on the radar right now. So we'll see. Heck yeah.
All right, sir.
I'm about to go to bed and you're starting your day.
Yep.
Heck yeah. We should talk really soon, before June, but I'll be seeing you in June.
That's true.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah, dude.
Good stuff.
Good times.
All right. That's it for today. I hope this conversation got you thinking and maybe even questioning a few things. And that's the point. This isn't about having all the answers. It's about figuring it out together. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you want to keep exploring these ideas, make sure to subscribe and follow me over at theothersideofenough.com. Let's keep the conversation going and see you next time.